Chiquot.
Bonjour, bonjour. Good day, everybody. Good day. Once again, it's Monday. What's the date, Angie? Second February, second of the second month, 2026. And full disclosure, we on and until 7 p.m. So let me apologize for the late start. I know Angie was on fire, man. I was listening on the way here. And the calls kept coming and so on and so on. So we'll continue the show, continue letting the heat rise as we go into some other additional topics that we want to discuss today. First of all, let me say hello to our people, Castriz's people, Mr. Peter Chiquot. And I saw a message from Mr. Peter Chiquot indicating that very soon he will be. He's giving the new government some time to, to butter the soles of their shoes, So very soon you're going to be hearing. But people are asking, where is the UWP? The UWP told you all already, You all ain't anything new from UWP. UWP told you all exactly what is happening now, would have happened. So do ask for them, deal with your situation. So let me get back to my shout-outs. The executive of UWP, Castrizis, and the general UWP supporters. I want to say thanks for tuning in. All the people who are calling and who are asking me whether we'll be on every Monday. As long as I am able, I will be here every Monday to discuss matters that are in the news and matters that means a lot to us. A few things came up during the weekend. Hot button issues that we need to talk about. There's an Uber situation going on. And Uber, that word Uber sounds like humor. So we'll make some humor out of the Uber. There are one or two clips that when Angie comes in, I want her to assist with. But it's very important that we remind people who said what and who's responsible for what and who didn't take notice of what. So when it happens now and they try to spin and say, that was always so, you can tell them, the tips are there. That's something we have always been saying. Probably we have not used it enough. But the records are there, History has shown us, that the people who are making all the claims now, the history is there. We can go back and take the clips and play it and see who said what at what time and how it's affecting us now. You put people square pegs in wrong holes, and then you have all kind of things happening. It's just like when you heard the former minister of agriculture say that the government is not responsible for damage to people's vehicles and injury from accident with cows. No wonder. I think Philippe, the first thing and only thing Philippe did right was to remove Mitt as a minister of government and put him somewhere in the back storeroom printing papers or doing something. Because I can't understand how a man can see. A man, we paid a salary for 5 years as a minister. That's all the man has on his split. That the government is not responsible for the cows on the highway. So everybody can drop their cows. But there is a video indicating 2 cows walking slowly down Vidbute Road near American Drywall. And a guy who used to be a police officer, I know him well, from the area, took that video and is commenting on that video. All those videos are there. All of them are there. So when you hear ministers saying, whether it's Minister for Tourism, whether it's the Prime Minister, whether it's Richard Frederick, whether it's any one of those guys, you can challenge those guys on what they are saying and get videos and clips and debunk them and make them look foolish and ridiculous. All those things are there. So, Castries people, I telling you, UWPs, boy, today, Angie, I met so many people in town and they telling me, boy, people are asking the horn blowers and flag blowers of the government, those that remain in the media, asking, boy, why are the flabos so quiet? The flabos quiet because the flabos are checking for themselves, the flabos are checking their affairs. So, but if they turn, deal with your situation now. Don't put flabos involved in your thing. Next thing you'll say is Chasney or UWP that cause visas problems. Y'all were not listening, y'all were not hearing. Matters went before the certain persons were making complaints against certain things happening with investment of our passport, so but they got turned. I am told, and I heard it, a person, I heard it after election, that Emmanuel man, who's the CEO or what is he of
You mean you're referring to McLeod Emmanuel?
McLeod Emmanuel said that all the allegations against CIP, all the money is there and everything is okay. Soon a report will be coming out. McLeod Emmanuel, are you waited till election, an election victory, to say that? Why you didn't say? Why couldn't you come out before election to make a statement? You're quiet. You're almost invisible. Anyway, I saw you at a motorcade. That's the only time I saw you in public. At a motorcade, I believe it was either the Saturday before the election. But I want to see that report. And by the way, where's the chairman of CIP? Have you all found a new chairman yet? All those things, people don't need to know that. Because your last chairman, the minister said, as far as he knows, the last time he checked, the chairman was the same person. That's about 2 years ago. CIP does not have a chairman. So, if you're holding 2 caps, Mr. Emmanuel, say you're holding 2 caps. But I want to start about something today. And I want to go back in the past. I want to go back a few years. March of 2020. That's when we were struck by COVID. To date, 2nd of February 2026, you know the minibus sector, transport system is still on rotation. Why haven't we come back to the normal, everybody working? Why Godfrey Ferdinand? And I'm relating that to the taxis. I'm coming to the taxis and the Uber. I'm coming. If we are back into order, if we are back where we were in 2020,
I think the phrase you're looking for is back to Monal.
Monal, yes. For nearly 6 years, the minibus, the transport sector is on rotation. And I'm sure, listeners, you can recall during COVID, the start of COVID, when the government and the ministry placed the number of passengers, altered the number of passengers per bus a bus can carry safely. 14 seaters went down to a certain number, 12 seaters went down to a certain number. There was protests by certain minibus drivers. Viewfort bus drivers especially were protesting, saying how they're not making money, it's not economical that they run the route, and so on. In fact, the first Viewfort, the first person, first driver who was he affected by COVID. Remember that guy? He was called, while in hospital, he was called and by a certain radio station and television station host. And he said he doesn't have COVID, but he's at hospital. He doesn't have COVID, how he came from Matnik and so on and so on. I'm sure you all can recall that, my people. Well, to date, the buses are still on rotation, working 3 and 4 days respectively per week. So you work Monday, you don't work Tuesday, you work Wednesday, you don't work Thursday, you come back Friday. And then it goes into the next week. So you'll work 3 days this week, 4 days next week, and so on. Not counting Sunday, because Sunday is not a regular business day for some routes. So the minibus sector have suffered and have not regained their strength and their footing from 2020 because of COVID. Are we having more? Do we have more commuters? I'm sure there are more people. I'm sure there are more commuters in 2026 than there were in 2020. Because there are more people on the island. But yet still we have not returned to our normal full week driving on the routes. Now, I'm going into, and let me tie that into the taxi situation. You all can recall that during the first session, or the first term of the St. Lucia Labour Party, 2021, 2026, 2025. Well, that was a short term, because they're always doing a shortcut. You recall, and I heard one Mr. Anthony Richard. First, he was identified as a representative of National Taxi Union, but I believe it's Holiday Taxi. A gentleman that I know pretty well. He used to be a bus driver, but now he does taxi. I heard him say that, and I recall that very well, that the SLP government issued 800 TX splits between 2021 and 2020. Well, during the first term, this last term that just went there. 800 TX splits. Already, the taxi union, and I know people like Mr. Lucien Joseph and others, I have a lot of police officers, friends, who have taxi plates. And so I know firsthand, I am talking to them all the time, that how much that affected the taxi sector. Because some of those guys were not making any money in taxi. But the government found reason to issue over 800 TX splits. Now you all can recall when the TX splits were first issued. Those splits were red plates. You recall that, Angie?
Yep.
There was a tourism minister. Do you recall her name? A very young one. She was the one who was Minister of Tourism.
Did it start with Melissa and Emily from Bali? I'm not sure.
Yes, I believe that. Persons, taxi drivers got TX splits and they didn't own a vehicle. I know that because there was a gentleman close to us, our friend. The man had a taxi plate. I just can't recall the number. A red taxi plate, and he didn't own a vehicle. Not until about 3 or 4 years after he got the plate. In fact, I can tell you, when those plates were first registered, because of the way it was distributed and assigned, those plates were not even licensed to the people that, or registered to the people who got them. Because there are always a party affair. Anytime SLP does something, they're first looking for the supporters. And that's how those TX splits were first given, first issued. And if there are any police officers listening to the program who want to challenge that, or who worked in the traffic department, you all will recall how many issues we had with those red TX splits. When there was a hit and run accident or collision with involving a TX split, a red TX split, you could not, unless the person knew the driver, they could not, it was not registered. And anybody who wants to doubt that or want to confirm what I'm saying, they can you can start sending your messages now. You can start. And let us have a discussion on that, because we're going to tie that to the Uber situation. There were police officers, and some of them are still owners of TX splits, and they are taxi drivers themselves, who are not with any company as holiday, national holiday taxi, or the other taxi unions that they have, organizations. They are not members of an association, taxi association, but they have a TX split. And they were doing, if they get a trip from a hotel. Because we know our local system, how the system runs. You have a friend who works at a particular hotel, and that friend makes contact with guests at the hotel, and the guest wants to, through that person, give you a trip. And you would go to that hotel with your, whether you have P plate, whether you have J plate, whether you have an H plate, whether you have an M plate, and you pick up those guests at the hotel. I don't know if it's allowed now or if you have to pick them out outside the gate. But we know that there are some organized tours happening like that. our regular taxi drivers had a serious issue with people doing transfers and so on and outside trips and so on. I was a member of the traffic department for a long time, my people. So what I am telling you there are things that I know. I know that you cannot question me on that because I know that. Those were the complaints that we were getting. When the ship comes to Castries, you get more unauthorized drivers and people and what do you call them? Tour guides. Guys who never owned a bicycle. Those guys would have their brochures and their maps and so on. And what they're doing, they're soliciting passengers, guests, at a lower rate than the regular taxi rate, and they're walking them to the bus stands, and they're selling the trips for money to an employee. So, so now there was always some friction between TX plates, M plates, when the tourist season is on. So the M plate drivers would leave the bus stand when things are slow. Mid-morning, 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, after rush hour, after morning rush hour. And they would park somewhere near the center of town, or park on the bus stand towards the rear of the bus stand, and they would wait for those scouts to bring the guests to them, and they would take a souffle trip for probably 3/4 of the price or half the price and so on. Because the guys know that they are on their route. So they may have them come back before the rush hour, because by 4 o'clock, 4:30, they would have them come back to Castries to join the regular queue on the bus stand so that they can continue the day. But they want to make some tourist dollars. So I'm telling you that because I know that's what they were doing. That's how they operated. So there have always been conflict between M plates doing taxis and TX plates doing taxis. But remember, before M plates, the buses were hired. All the buses that ply the route, public service vehicles, were H plates before we had M plates. So you cannot tell a bus driver that if he's on the second on the peg and a couple foreign guests comes to him and ask him to take them to Soufrière, that he cannot leave and go to Soufrière. But I know it happened that if you're caught at Soufrière, on the Soufrière route, and you head into the Sulphur Spring, and you're not a Soufrière bus, that would have landed you in trouble. After a certain time, persons were getting tickets, and persons the police even used to cause the passengers to disembark. I know that, and you know that. Those things were happening. But in my view, I always held the view that if the guys get a trip, you cannot prevent somebody, a driver, from taking a trip taking a trip to Soufrière if he's available for hire. Because when you park on the bus stand or when you on duty as a bus driver or minibus operator, you are applying for hire. So if Angie comes and I'm on the route, I'm on my peg, I'm on my route taxi stand or bus stand, and Angie knows me, she doesn't trust the other drivers, she wants to give me a trip from my bus stand, she wants me to go with her to collect her daughter at her workplace and to take her home. That's not illegal. That cannot be illegal. However, if I leave my route and go to another route and I'm seen collecting persons along the road, which is not my route, and taking them to the city, that is an offense. So, I'm just telling you all of that to tell you that all of this is tied in with regulating the bus system, regulating the taxi system. So now let us talk about the Uber system.
Now, hi guys, just jumping in at this moment. Had to take a little break. So a lot of people are really, really interested in this Uber thing. Did you hear the Minister of Tourism saying that the Uber was asking the taxi drivers to sign up with them, and the minister was saying not to? What's your take on that?
He said not to sign up with them?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that the taxi association should advise their members not to sign up with Uber.
I heard a statement from him. The meeting is tomorrow, right? With the taxi. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I did not hear him say that. But it is my understanding that the arrangement would be with regular taxi drivers. The Uber system will be regular. In fact, they're not bringing in their own vehicles. So I don't see, my conversation with a few of persons who are doing taxi is that they don't see, there is not enough volume, there is not enough capacity, there is not enough business to make an Uber system viable, in St. Lucia.
Really?
I don't see how it can work. Angie, how many people you know on a regular basis in your community who hires a taxi in a week? Or do you know anybody in your normal setting, in your normal community, who would hire a taxi to their homes? And how regular that you see that?
We don't have taxis available.
We don't?
You can't find them at night.
I mean, well, it might be more difficult to find them at night, but they're there. I know taxi drivers who peg outside the market there every night. I know them. There are about 20 taxi drivers who peg.
Well, let me tell you something. If you pass by my bus stop at night, that's the Millet, Castries to Millet bus stop.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pass next to the Dennery Village and the Dennery Valley bus stop at night,
mm-hmm.
I bet you'll see a lot of potential Uber customers. We're just waiting for the Uber to come.
Angie, and now you sound like you will be one of the Uber customers.
The first one.
Okay, let us take. Well, you heading down my argument. Very good.
I will be the first one. In fact, let me tell you something. I came from work last week. This is not a joke. I came from work last week, and I got to the bus stop, And while I was heading to the bus stop, I saw a guy with a vehicle that said Uber on it, but he had somebody on board, and he had stopped on the side of the road to make a phone call. And I say, hey, Uber up and running, and I walked to the bus stop. When I got to the bus stop, there was no bus, several people. I went back to see if the Uber was still there, but he had already left.
Was the Uber a TX?
No, it was a regular vehicle.
What plate it had on it?
Just a regular vehicle. I didn't see the plate. I just saw a flashing light in the dashboard saying Uber.
So that dispels the notion that the Ubers are all TXs then.
They're not all TXs. Uber is essentially a rideshare program for persons with a vehicle that want to make extra money.
Yes,
now, hold on.
Yes, we're going into it.
Uber sent, since in St. Lucia, the law says, according to the minister, that you need to be TX to be a hired vehicle. You need to have a TX plate. Then Uber sent out a notice to all of the people with TXs to sign up with them. The minister at the pre-cabinet press briefing said to them, he said to the taxi associations, tell your members don't sign up. But there are individuals with their private vehicle who want to make extra money who have signed up with Uber before the official launch. I went to the supermarket 2 weeks ago, and there was a guy there asking people if they wanted an Uber. I'm telling you, I cannot wait for the Uber. I cannot wait. No more standing around after I come from work and I'm tired, standing around waiting for a bus.
Have you ever inquired, Angie, how much it would cost you a taxi from your bus stand to your home?
Yes.
How much?
Over $80 EC.
80 EC?
Mm-hmm. Over.
And
not 80, huh? Over
80.
Some people charging you $100.
Now, you said something there about, and this is precisely why I started saying what I was saying. There have to be regulations. Otherwise, what you will find happening, I have my vehicle parked outside so I can be an Uber when I leave. I'm booking Uber from tonight.
Yes, you can.
Because you have to get home. There must be regulation. To be a taxi, you know the number of seminars and the number of certificates and the number of training sessions that the ministry put the TX drivers on so that they can get revenue. That's basically revenue collecting.
But
send them at Surfer.
But that's why Uber said to them, that's why Uber said to them, sign up with us. Because, okay, here's my point. And I don't know if the listeners will agree with me, but I don't see the relevance of the minister saying don't sign up with Uber. To me, that makes absolutely no sense.
The minister would say that. The minister, I believe, is out. The minister should stick to what he think he knows,
Listen to me.
And not
this makes absolutely no sense. Let me tell you why. I've spoken here about me going to the official welcome of Avia, the P&O Cruises' largest ship. And when I got there, that ship has a capacity of over 8,000 people, right? Huge ship. Do you know what I witnessed while I was on the taxi stand at Point Seraphin? I witnessed several buses The buses were Cox and Company buses, and they were coming there, being filled up with passengers and driving off, and the taxi drivers were just sitting there. And one taxi driver brought me inside, although he got into a little bit of hot water for that. But there's this board where they write down who is on the peg.
Yes, who's working on
Right.
Yes.
Who is working, who's on the peg.
That's where Point Surfing, you
at
said?
Point Seraphim.
Yes.
Do you know that he told me the number that they started on? Only 5 taxis for the day had gotten trips. The rest of the people who didn't board the Cox and Company buses, and these are 30-seater buses I am talking about, these individuals were walking from Point Seraphim to Castries. Walking. Would you like a taxi? No thanks. We just want to take a walk. And those taxi drivers were seated there in the hot sun, drying like prunes. So Uber is coming. Uber is a short trip. You don't have to sit and beg. You're sitting there at the taxi stand begging people, would you like a trip? Would you like a trip? And you get an opportunity to sign up with Uber, where, well, I don't know how the financing works, but maybe you do your trips and then, because it's a cashless system, you do your trip and then the company remits some money to you or whatever at the end of the month. You're not going to take it because a minister said so? Uber, welcome to St. Lucia. You're going to be eating a lot of my money.
But Angie, I am sure that arrangement with Uber did not start on January 27th.
No, it didn't.
That was in the making before. Why didn't we hear about that before election? Because
we did, but they did, Foster. It was advertised. It was advertised.
I didn't know that. A number of persons.
Uber has been advertising that they're moving their service to St. Lucia since last year.
Yeah?
Yes. Since last year. They were asking people to sign up since last year. But they were asking private individuals.
Angie, the government regulates the taxi service and the minibus service. A private entity cannot come into business to offer the public a lower rate and cut off an industry, you know.
I don't, Foster, but here's the thing. I saw a post on Facebook where somebody was making the point that their rates are not that much lower than what we already pay. It's not like a significant amount lower, but the minister, I think they're just, in my opinion, and I may be wrong, I may be speaking from a place of bias, but forgive me. I think the reason why the minister is not accepting Uber with open arms is because they haven't found a way to tax it. They haven't found a way to try to get revenue from it, because they want to put their hands in everybody's pocket.
So basically the Uber business is basically a dispatch business. That's what it would.
Yes, that's what it is.
A dispatcher.
Yes, that's what it is.
Because if me and you, we own taxis and somebody is calling us, we are private. Somebody is calling us to give us a trip that we don't have to go out looking for, soliciting. We basically paying the person to do dispatch for us.
Yeah.
So, and some of the okay, let's talk about.
We have a caller on the line.
Yes.
Good evening, caller. You on the air?
just Angie could have told the
Caller, I
link.
can barely. Go ahead, caller. I just realized.
Okay. Angie, I want to ask you if you ever had any encounter with a bus driver.
I've had several encounters with bus drivers.
Okay.
Several.
I realize that because all what I hear you saying about Uber there, I realize you're talking out of your feelings.
My
It have
feelings.
nothing to do with facts.
And it
It have
has.
nothing to do with facts and reality.
Okay. Excuse me. Hold on. You cannot just
Yeah.
call me and attack me like that. I'm not going to tolerate that.
No, I'm not attacking you. I'm just
No. Hold on. Hold on. You don't know. You cannot make a statement like that. I'm not talking about feelings. This isn't about feelings. This is about me having to stand around almost on a daily basis for hours before I get a bus. Me having to spend money calling almost every single bus driver on the bus stop. So much so that I think the people, and this is a true thing, Foster, when I get to my bus stop, do you know that other passengers standing around are happy to see me? Because I have every single bus driver's telephone number in my phone. And anybody from my area can tell you that. And I have to call these bus drivers. Call them and say, are you on the road today? Are you coming down? Where are you? Almost on a daily basis. I have had occasion to call my brother, not once, not twice, to pick up people on the bus stop and drop them home, you know. I have done
I want
this.
to ask.
So when I say that I cannot wait for Uber, I have ample reason to say that. And you can go right now to the Millet bus stop and see anybody standing there and ask them if I am not telling the truth. So before you come at me,
I'm not coming at
ask
you.
a question.
You didn't even let me finish.
No, I cannot let you finish.
Or even reach halfway.
And I will not let you finish. I'm stopping you right away because you cannot make a statement like that. You're telling me if I had an encounter with a bus driver, sir, they don't have no bus driver.
Yeah.
There are several people who've had, and you're telling me what I'm saying is not coming from facts? Sir, please,
Okay.
know how you're speaking.
Please. Okay. Hear that, Angie. Most of the taxi drivers had to do a seminar. All the taxi drivers had to go through defensive driving. Okay? Or even some kind of training. You understand? What do you know about the Uber driver?
Sir, if you were not following it, you would hear that we said Uber has asked the registered taxi drivers, the people with the TX plate, to sign up with them. These are the people they want working for them. It was the minister. These are the people that they want working for them. These are the people that they are advertising their service for.
These are the people they want working for them, but who are working for them now?
Hold on. It was the Minister of Tourism, and I can play the clip right now. He said to the taxi associations, tell your members do not sign up. So if the members don't want to sign up and other people want the money, let them sign up.
Okay, so it's all about the money. So what about the training now?
The training will get me at my home when I'm tired.
The people who are driving the Uber, do you know how long they have their license for? Do they have any training or anything, sir?
How many bus drivers do you know that have training? How many bus drivers you know? How many bus drivers?
If you don't do that defensive,
how many bus drivers?
If you don't have the defensive, you cannot endorse to drive a bus. And if you endorse, it will not happen legally.
How many bus drivers post how long they have their license on the vehicle for the people to know? The people that board in the bus. Because I know a bus driver on my bus stop who was asked by his doctor not to drive bus anymore because of a medical condition, and he never stopped. You were saying?
Okay.
Caller, I think you have the points you're bringing up, caller. If you're listening, I mentioned them, because we're just getting
well, I don't know kind of little, but I was very more. I think Angie have maybe a little more points than you. But also, I was more hearing what Angie was saying.
Well, you joined when she was speaking, but I was on the line
Yeah.
10 minutes before she came. I was just speaking alone.
Okay. Okay.
So I know what you're saying, caller. And we were just making an introduction to get into the Uber. But I understand what you're saying about, that's why I told Angie, I said before you joined, you called. If this is not regulated, anybody with a P or a barrow can sign up. I have my vehicle outside. It has a PU on it. I can sign up for an Uber. I have no taxi training. I know where the hotels are. And I believe all you need to be pick up somebody at the A hotel and drop them at J hotel. I don't know how much training you need to do that if I can drive. But I know if you don't regulate that, the regular taxi driver who's sitting at the hotels who see me come and pick up two guests there, drop them at the beach, come and drop them back at the hotel and collect my 100 US every afternoon, they will have a problem with that. Because I beat traffic. Yes.
I'm speaking as a former bus driver, but I know bus driver is not, Angie basically, I don't mind on bus driver, but bus driver is not going to be affected like the taxi driver will do that. I hope Angie know that. You understand? It's not bus drivers, it's taxi drivers are going to affect the most.
But
I believe they have the right to pick up tourists too. I think they have the right to work in the tourism industry too.
Who, the bus drivers?
No, the Uber drivers. So if Angie saying, I heard she said like, the last time she realized like, the Coxswain company come and pick up get all the trips and just a few taxi drivers that get some trips. So if Uber is there, right now there, I know Uber will not go Millet and pick up a load to go down and go on the bus and pick up a load to go back up. So they're not going to be affected like you think they're going to be affected. It's taxi drivers that are going to be affected.
Caller, no Uber driver going to Millet if one person.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's what I'm telling you. So Angie, I'm just telling Angie that
only if I don't pay my fare. Listen, the only way the Uber driver not going to go Millet if one person is if I don't have money to pay the fare. That's the only reason. Because listen to me. People can say whatever they want when they are not in the situation. You still have a vehicle, I'm sure, because you just said you were a former bus driver.
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay, well, the same way you assumed about me, I'm assuming about you. But I know what it is. I know what it is to stand there. And these are not... Foster, how many times have we left here? And I always make you pass by the bus stop, and then you have cause to bring me home.
Last bus or no bus?
Last bus or no bus, and you have cause to bring me home. Not even late. Okay? Guy, this is a reality. View for people sitting there drying like prunes in the sun. Denry people, everybody.
How many different people you think that can take on to go Vifort?
I am not sending Viewfort people to go and take Uber to go at their home, I am telling you that I am telling you that me, this girl,
driver, and she could pay.
I will do. I have brothers and sisters overseas, I'm the baby of the family. When I call my brother and I say, stuck here, pay a Uber for me, you feel you won't do it? Okay. I have brothers and sisters overseas. They can pay from overseas. They will pay it in home.
Angie, how many neighbors of us she see come home hiring a taxi on a weekly basis? I'm sure.
But all my neighbors need to get home
in my community
night.
There's only one person occasionally I see hire a taxi.
Listen, I need to get home at night. Okay? I need to, you know how, listen,
So,
I have had, okay, this is not a joke or an exaggeration, you know, caller. I can show you my phone now, Foster. I have the number of every single bus driver.
I believe you do.
But I'm telling you, when people see me come on the bus, recently I was sitting there and a lady came and she said, I'm so happy. I was just walking in and she was telling another lady, boy, I'm so happy I see her. Because if we don't get a bus, she'll call her brother.
Call her, yeah.
So the person said, just so the person will call her brother for you. No, the last time she called her brother and he dropped all of us home. We've done it. So this is not a joke. I cannot wait for the Uber come, please. I need you. I will be the first passenger. All I saving my whole salary for Uber. I buy makeup, I doing my hair, I doing my nails. I don't even buy new clothes. Uber alone.
Caller, what say you? What say you?
Angie, that's the way you can pay Uber. You could pay another bus to get you home from another bus.
You think I'm not calling them too? You really think I'm not? Caller, I call every caller. I tell you, I am the president of the National Bus Drivers Association. Okay? Because I have friends in all bus stops. I have on the Grosley bus stop. I have on La Clary bus stop. I have on Ancillary bus stop. Imagine Dennery, Viewfort, all bus stop. Angie not sleeping in town. When she come in town, she must go back home. And if I can't find
I know your brother have people. Your brother will pick you up.
And hear that. My father know. I always say my parents knew I was indiscreet, so they give me brothers that are protective. Okay.
Okay.
All my brothers. Oh, yes. All my brothers. Oh, you know my brother. That's why you called me and tell me that. And you know that one doesn't play. All my brothers have vehicles, and they will come and pick me up. All of them. From the biggest to the smallest, from the smallest to the biggest, all those in the middle.
So, caller, you signing up for Uber?
The caller should go and sign up for Uber.
You signing up for Uber services?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the minister said not to sign up.
Well, I hope the minister, listen, the same minister that telling the taxi drivers not to sign up with Uber, I hope when these taxi drivers do get a trip, he giving them one. He just paying them for their day. Because he doesn't need to sign up for Uber.
The minister have a bumper season coming up, you know.
The minister...
The fellas they will get enough business.
So, the only bumper I see the minister having is the bumper to bumper that is happening on the Grosley Highway. And the bumper to bumper that has happened on the
wall.
Not the wall. Oh, yes. The Bumper Mall. Boy, we have some people.
All right, caller. Thanks for that. But keep listening. Very interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we have another call. We have a call on the line. Good evening to you, caller. You are on the air. My goodness, people are trying to get the line. Hello.
Good evening, Angie.
Good evening. How are you?
Good day, sir.
I'm good. It's just cool in the neck of my words. It's frigid cool. But I'm coping. Trying to cope, that is.
Yes.
I want to add my 2 cents to this whole Uber situation in St. Lucia. Now, I'm not advocating for Uber. But I want to, for the last call, I don't know if I called a call before the last caller who tried to basically put a defense for minibus drivers. I want to say, having lived in St. Lucia all my life, even if I don't live in St. Lucia anymore, but I experienced the public transportation system. It's archaic, it's chaotic, and there must be, like Brother Foster Chiquot said, some regulation. First of all, you have minibus drivers who are not trained in customer service. They come on a taxi stand, they're not groomed properly, the buses are not well kept, they are not reliable. By 8 o'clock in most communities, you cannot get a reliable means of transportation. Hotel workers, if you speak to them, they tell you by 11 o'clock when they leave work, they are basically stranded. and they have to rely on maybe some hotel workers because of the place of employment at the hotels. The hotels will provide some means of transportation to get them to their house safely. These are the things that the average St. Lucian face when it comes to public transportation. And I'm saying the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, there must be a national.
Oh, sorry about that, caller. Hold on a minute here. I pressed the wrong thing. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying there must be a national transport policy. In other words, the entire transportation sector has to be regularized. This how because you have National Council on Public Transportation, that's the so-called general body, and within those bus stands you have associations. That's not working. What I'm proposing, what I'm suggesting to the government, scrap all those individual minibus associations. It makes no sense because every minibus association or every route has its peculiar issues. What you need to do, the the board that is responsible for minibus drivers have one should be under one umbrella and have representatives of each area or district as a representative. Not have different associations there, regional association, bargaining association. That is chaotic. That is not systematic. That is recipe for chaos, and that's what we see. Now, let us face it. Uber came into solution. I know the taxi association or the taxi drivers, they livelihood, they feel threatened by their livelihood, inclusive of the minibus drivers. But you see, sometimes I'm not, and again, let me emphasize the point. I am not advocating for Uber because we need to find out our thorough investigation who granted the approval for Uber. Who is the owner of Uber in who's the franchise owner for Uber in solution? These are questions that have to be answered. All I am saying is competition in some situations is healthy. Okay? And so maybe with the advent of Uber in St. Lucia, the minibus association or the minibus drivers will up the game. Likewise, the taxi drivers will up the game because they now know that there is some form of competition. And competition is healthy. You understand what I'm saying, Angie and Foster Chiquot?
We are you, caller. We agree.
Competition sometimes is healthy. Because let us face it, you go to certain communities or certain districts, and by 7 o'clock you cannot get a reliable means of transportation. So, persons are stranded when they work, particularly let me emphasize that point again, the hotel workers. Now, what do you think the government should
Not just the hotel. Hold on, not just the hotel workers, the media workers too. I need to. I stranded too.
And the media workers and the nurses and the essential workers too. These
Right,
people,
right.
these citizens are being greatly or grossly affected. Now, we have a crime situation. So you're exposing your citizens to crime because what happens, you find persons might be desperate, they might hike a ride, you do not know what could happen. So there's a ripple effect. So I'm saying to the government, have a national consultation on public transportation. Have consultations throughout the country and let the general public tell you what are they suffering, what is affecting them, what can they do, or what they can suggest to the government to regularize and to bring this transportation sector into some normalcy. Because as we speak right now, Angie and Brother Foster Chiquot, it is chaotic. Now,
It is.
secondly, I've been an advocate for a national bus terminal. When you go to Trinidad and Tobago, in Port of Spain, you know there's a bus terminal. So um, you know that's where the bus terminal is. And every single area, you know, okay, if it's this area, you know Sipara, and that is the area for Sipara. If it's Shugonas, you know that is the area for Shugonas. It's not helter skelter. You have to be going there for maybe bus stand. You have to be going there for Barbados bus stand. It's just chaotic. It doesn't make sense, and it poses to a traffic congestion in the city. The city of Castries cannot handle all those minibuses and bus stops. We're in 2026. So it's high time that the government of the day looks seriously into constructing or building a serious bus terminal for St. Lucia. So every Jack, John, and Jill know this is the bus terminal. This is where I go to get my transportation. And secondly, I would propose that you have a shift system, which is supposed to be, in my view, should be 24 hours. Because in Trinidad and Tobago, you can get we call it, they call it maxi taxi. You can get a bus at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because it's regularized. There's a system by which public transportation operates. In St. Lucia, it is just too chaotic. So I'm saying to the minibus drivers, I empathize that you feel threatened, the livelihood is threatened, and the taxi men, but we are in 2026. This is a global village. And Uber now is on your heels. It's a reality. The government granted their Uber for Uber to operate the franchise. And so the minibus drivers and inclusive of the taxi drivers have to up the game now and say, look, how can we change our operations to make us more efficient and better? And so I was saying to the government of the day, take this public transportation sector more seriously, have a national consultation on public transport, bring in all the stakeholders, bring in the various chamber of commerce, the private sector, citizens in the communities, hear what they have to say insofar as the way forward to improve the public transportation system. Unless we don't do that, Angie and Foster Chiquot, that public transportation system in St. Lucia will continue to be chaotic, and then we will have problems like these. And simply, and I'm also going to end by saying this, no, I'm not against minibus drivers, but some minibus drivers need the tree. They come on the bus stand, they don't take a shower. Sorry to say, I don't want to sound degrading, but you hear the complaints all the time. They dress inappropriately. The buses are not well kept. We are in 2026, and the minibus drivers, most of them must understand that they're providing a public service, and they have to provide that public service with the absolute professionalism and efficiency. I rest my case right there.
Thank you for that,
Thank you,
caller.
caller. Thank you. You raised some interesting points there.
Yeah. Now here's the thing, Here's the thing. The caller made a comment that, and he said about the minibus drivers, the buses are not in good condition. Foster, I have had occasion to go on a bus, and I look at the buses on the bus stop, and I feel like that's where buses go to die. I'm serious. That's the thought that comes to my mind. Have you ever taken a bus to go on the Mon?
Oh,
I believe that's where buses go to die.
Angie, I am so happy that I have my own transport.
We have a call.
But you have a choice, Angie. You can wait till the next bus comes,
When you have your business to do. Good evening, caller. You are on the air.
Angie and Mr. Chico, how are you guys doing? You good? Mr. Chico, you good? I spoke to Angie not too long ago.
We're good.
We're good.
I love this Uber conversation. I've just checked. The previous caller, because I too thought that Uber was a franchise, but I have just looked. I've just looked it up just to have facts. And I'm finding out that Uber is not a franchise, that Uber will operate and give certain people licenses to operate Uber in certain countries or certain states like California, like the large cities, etc. So what's coming to St. Lucia is not a franchise, from what I'm understanding. However, there will be an individual or individuals responsible for the management side of Uber in the country. I need to ask that question. We have not heard an individual's name. We haven't heard a business person's name that will be responsible for managing the day-to-day or whatever of Uber right here in St. Lucia. Does government want to share that information with us, please? Because it's quite fishy that we will know who the owner, that he's passed, that the late Leslie Clark was the owner of Domino's.
Mm-hmm.
We will that franchise in St. Lucia. We will know that Roberta is the owner of how do you call it? Or the one mm, near the cinema, that coffee house, Rituals.
Mm-hmm.
We will know the names of certain people who own those franchises here. KFC, we know, and whatever other franchises here. However, Uber has come out of nowhere. We're hearing Minister Hilaire again, and I say again, again, talking about Uber, and that Uber is not coming, that Uber has not been given permission, and Uber still needs to have a meeting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead, caller.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody was saying something. Uber has not been given permission. Nothing has been set in stone. They're having a meeting with Uber. This, that, and the other. The management of Uber. Who are the people or the person who's behind the operations of Uber in St. Lucia? Because there need to be a ground person, a manager, somebody who's handling. Who's the person? Why don't we know that information? Why is that information hidden? Why, just like GPH, and I'm sorry that I'm not sorry I'm bringing that up, just like our ports, Castries and Soufre, two income generating ports, proper income generating ports were sold because it is not a leasehold, just a leasehold. It is a title that GPH has on our ports for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, GPH is paying us $1 a year. So that's $30 for 30 years for Port Castries and Soufre. We, to this day, do not know who these people behind GPH, who are the people that are involved, whether they're local people, whatever, because GPH has gone as a private company, no longer a public company since they hit St. Lucia's jackpot. Because in our jackpots, they hit Port Castries and Soufre. They hit that jackpot, and we do not know anything. We want some transparency and accountability from Hilaire, who's coming out and speaking once again, about Uber. And we want to know why this was not discussed prior with the transport, whatever transport, whether it be the buses, the taxi associations, why that was not discussed prior. Why it's now that Uber is saying they're ready to open up and launch, that he is now coming and making statements. Isn't that very late in the day?
Well, caller, hopefully when they have the meeting, they're going to give him permission to speak, to tell us to answer all of these questions. Because remember, he doesn't name and shame companies. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Angie,
Yes.
warning! Don't say these things. Remember, don't say they didn't give them. They can go ahead and sign. They can go ahead and hand over our assets. Mm-hmm. They can go ahead and sell St. Lucia out. They can go ahead and sell the doors of St. Lucia, the main places where we used to leave St. Lucia and re-enter St. Lucia. They can go ahead and do all of that. But they don't have the responses for us, or they choose not to give us the answers because they know that there's some possibly some sort of corruption in the pipeline of these deals that they are cutting. We demand transparency from these people. We want to know who the people are who are going to be managing the leg of Uber in St. Lucia. We want to know, and we want to know that it has gone so far that they're ready to launch They're ready to launch. Have they looked at insurances of the different, who's going to be working for them? Is it people like me who can just sign up for Uber, just like in the US, and they check your insurance and they check your status and accidents and whatever, whether whether you're a safe person, your police record and all of that. They are ready to launch, but we don't know who the Uber drivers are going to be. We're not aware. We have bus drivers being robbed on a daily basis. True that we're not going to be carrying monies. If you book Uber, you pay online. However, the guests tend to tip when you pick them up and you give them a nice ride and you inform them of certain things. They tend to tip. Will people be holding up people in the middle of the night for their tips? Their US tips or their francs or not francs, euros or whatever tips that they might have collected. What is going on here? We want more information. He cannot just come and pick and choose when he wants to give us whatever information he chooses to give us. And we are sitting here in the dark as usual under that SLP gouvernement. Because I don't know if that's a government anymore. That gouvernement, that feel they can just pick and choose, cherry pick, nitpick what they want to feed to us. We are demanding answers. We still demanding answers for Podcast 3, Port Soufre. We're still demanding answers for why the piles in Uronoro Airport were destroyed. Millions of dollars worth of piles were destroyed. We are demanding answers. Who is behind Uber? Who are the people that are going to be operating or managing Uber in St. Lucia? Why is this about to launch and we have none of that information?
Thank you for that contribution, caller. I will be sure. I hope I have your permission to bring these questions to the minister.
Angie, I think
hold on, before you make that point.
I think we should play that clip, if you have it.
Yeah, I do, but hold on.
Yes.
Before we make that point, we have some messages coming on the Facebook platform.
Yes.
So somebody's saying, Angie, you may be able to stay out a little bit longer. Yes, I will, because Uber is here. Somebody else is saying, Uber don't need TX plate. Uber does not have vehicles. The company will get you all of that. Another is saying, man, shut the hell up. I think that person was speaking to the first caller. Another says, the only person I saw and heard speaking about Uber was Elijah Norbert. Another one says, those labor low IQ hacks will always come and defend nonsense. Somebody's asking, what about insurance coverage, people? We need to take that into consideration in this whole Uber conversation. I agree with that, insurance coverage. But I doubt the company...
And somebody mentioned police record, and who's going to be driving you? You don't know the Uber.
True.
At least you know the taxi driver is from that market step or holiday taxi.
I don't know where the taxi driver come from. I just see him saying taxi and I want to go, so I go. Don't even try that, Foster.
No, but there are some things.
Well, you know what, Foster?
Angie.
Join Uber and I'll be your number one customer.
For the number of years we have known our taxi drivers, and that's not bashing any.
I don't know them.
I have a vehicle. I'm not bashing whether Uber or taxi.
Hold on. We still have more.
We're still okay.
Yeah, but I don't know the taxi drivers. Anyway, somebody is saying... Somebody's saying, this is something I have been talking about for years. Drivers are not reliable. From time of rotation, I said you all will destroy the bus system. Drivers care about money, not service. Drivers off and people are suffering because 5 buses can't carry all the passengers for more than 30 kilometers or 1 hour drive. If they let all buses work, there will not be so much people waiting. But drivers have to understand people pay for reliable service. Amen.
Now that's why I mentioned about the rotation, Angie.
Hold on.
If the bus system was working, there would be less need for bus,
The person is not finished.
Okay,
I was just jumping up because this person is making on a point.
They're making a point.
Right. Yes. They are supporting me. Yes.
Yeah.
But the drivers have to understand people pay for reliable service, not for suffering service. And I have been suffering. These drivers just having fun. They don't understand it's a service. The standard is poor. but it will become a professional service soon. Yes, somebody saying let someone call too, but I guess they're talking to the other driver, the first caller. Somebody says the competition is good because we don't like to work smart unless we are challenged. Somebody's asking me, can you play the clip with the minister telling the taxi drivers not to sign up with Uber? Yes, I have it queued up. I will play it in a minute. Another person is saying, Angie, I can't wait for Uber. Me too. Somebody says, so true, say it out loud.
You like trouble, Angie?
I write. I write. Somebody's calling. Good evening, caller. You are on the air.
Hi, good evening to you, and good evening to your co-host.
Yes,
I think
sir.
this is the first time I've called this radio station.
Yes, it is.
I
Mr. Haynes. I was just about to send you the number.
I had some difficulty trying to get the number.
Yeah.
Looks like your people in the chat are not very cooperative, but thank you very much. Somebody sent it to me.
Yeah.
And, there's quite a bit that has gone on, or is going on in St. Lucia. And surprisingly, we're so quiet. And I've listened to some people complain about not hearing the voice of the opposition, as if the opposition comprises of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people, or the people who are dressed in or born in United Worker Party membership card. I thought the opposition was the 30-something thousand people who voted against the government.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those who did not vote at all.
You're quite correct.
Because sometimes in St. Lucia, we sit back and we expect people to do things for us. And let cause it sometimes these other people don't even pay you a second.
Exactly, caller.
You know? And it's very sad that solutions are not willing to stand up for themselves. I understand that in some cases people need leadership. We are social being, and we live in a society with social norms, so leadership is something that is a norm in our society. But anyway, I'm not here to bash St. Lucians quiet, what I call our what do you call it in patois? Quaponez.
Yes.
Not that I don't call it the back our quaponez. What I really want to talk about, I want to ask a question. They said on the 22nd of February 1979, I actually was alive then. I remember that day. We gained our independence from the United Kingdom. And in I think it's coming up. It's 22nd of February now, so
yes.
Our independence is coming up. I noticed they've been this passing of the baton, walking the baton, running the baton.
Baton relay.
Okay. And all the fits and all everything that goes on around that. But then, what solution should be asking themselves is that if we are truly independent, which legally we are, we have a flag, we've got a parliament, a prime minister, ministers, courts, and we have the right to sign treaties. How comes America is now dictating to our government what we should be doing? And our government seems to be bending over backwards to comply.
Caller, let me ask you a question. Were you listening to Hard Talk earlier today?
No. Then your show, right?
Yes, then you missed it because I literally played a clip where the Prime Minister was explaining all of that.
You see, the thing is, when governments find themselves in these kind of situations, don't you believe it is the people the government should consult the people for answers in those situations where their arms are being twisted?
Caller, you saying the magic word there, but that will not happen.
You know that's not going to happen.
The Prime Minister says back against the wall, and that's what we are told, and America is...
He literally said today, caller, caller, that he's trying always to make his country better. He had a CIP, now they're telling him he can't have CIP. He needs money. What is he going to do? Then he
Well,
said,
takes me to the oh, sorry, Mr. Chico, carry on. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, he was saying, the prime minister was saying that it's so difficult. He was painting a picture that it's so difficult to access funds because you have so many regulations to meet, and he had a CIP, and now the American government is saying whatever. And then he was actually speaking at the Second World Congress for Racial and Ethnic Health Disparities, but that's what he was talking about. He started talking about rainwater harvesting, all kinds of foolishness. Then he says, and I quote, "And now I cannot even choose my own friends."
Well, Angie and Mr. Chico, there is the issue. For me, this is the crux of the issue. If I'm playing loud music and I'm your neighbor, right? And I'm loud music, my bass is shaking, the windows and all the little glasses and whatever they call it, crockery or whatever. Cutlery, not cutlery. All this stuff, your fruits and all that in your cabinet.
That's your cutlery. You can call it crockery as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and we're kind of friends, because we're neighbors. We have a relationship. So you come over to me and you say to me, Jimmy, turn on the music. It's disturbing us. We can't sleep. My windows are rattling. My plates are full. Pans are coming and forth. I ignore you. You send me a text. I ignore you. You send me a letter, I ignore you. I send you a lawyer's letter, you ignore it. Right? I'm sorry, you send me a lawyer's letter, I ignore it. So the next thing I say is that I'm going to take you to court. And I'm going to cause the police to come and take, because they can do that, come and take the sound system. Isn't that right?
Right.
Inspector?
You're right.
Right. So you don't have a loud music permit, you're disturbing the neighborhood, they come and they seize your equipment. It is only then that you start to cry. And say, "Ukwe Jimmy Safe Matan."
Monsieur El Selewa.
How many warnings did this government, including this prime minister, get about how to manage the CIP properly, how it was affecting these other countries' national security, etc., etc. So his recklessness and the irresponsible way that he allowed his ministers and himself to manage the program. They chastised people when they were giving them direction, when they were cautioning them, saying, don't run the CIP like that. There will be consequences.
You remember they were calling people enemy of the state. You remember they were saying that you're making all of these statements, but you're hurting the country. It's the country that will suffer.
When I remember an instance, where I think after the Gulf War, the West, America and Europe and whatever, some of their allies, started to place sanctions against Russians and Belarusians, and at the same time Iranians. And so many of the CIP countries announced that they would no longer be offering CIP to those nationalities. Our Minister of Investment, the one who spoke on the what do you call it, the Uber today.
Yeah.
The guy that nobody can believe. Nobody can believe him. Nobody could believe him.
Yeah.
This guy came, and you know what he said? He said that nobody can tell we're a sovereign country. We choose who our friends are.
Right.
And that nobody can tell us who to sell our passports to or not. The other countries have made their money, so that's when we should make its money too.
Right.
Before we sign this agreement with the other CIP OECS countries.
And do you remember?
So we went beyond.
Hold on, just to add to what you're saying. Do you remember when the IMF asked him for the information of the CIP citizens, and he said he's not going to give the IMF people's personal information?
Absolutely. Do you remember when he went and hid under the shadow, the protection of the minister's statement in the House of Parliament so that he did not give us any information, financial information?
Yes.
Do you remember when he came in a House pre-cabinet, so not House, but pre-cabinet briefing and told Federation that he cannot give us information about the Caribbean Galaxy's business, that he has to go to them to get their permission.
Because he does, because, and I quote, he's not in the business of naming and shaming companies of foreign investors. Remember that?
Yes. So here we are today. A grown person would have said to a child who has been that disobedient, that reckless, that careless, you know when their backside get cut, and they usually they fall off the bike, and all the ways you can see that the bone, the right of the skin of the flesh, they'll say defect evil. The unfortunate thing is, the defect is not only them.
Yeah.
The defect is the entire population of St. Lucia who are now suffering. And that is what I'm speaking about when I say about St. Lucians, when I open up to say that why are St. Lucians waiting for some opposition party to actually show their outrage, those 30-something thousand people who did not vote for this government. You can't say the effect the people were warned and they still voted for them. Right now, we are suffering. The guys are accepting certain things that will make us, we are the ones. We have not been given an opportunity to give our opinion on these decisions that have been made.
Yeah.
We have to now accept third country deportees.
Yes. Yes. Veiti.
We
When those guys tell you they check criminal record, what criminal record they check?
But caller, do you know what happened in St. Lucia just last week or week before? A Jamaican national robbed a supermarket, killed a security guard. Who let this guy in? Isn't that the same situation we are at risk of finding ourselves in when we let in those third country nationals?
We are the same country. To say that we don't do our due diligence, we are the same country where a government minister claimed to have a PhD and did not have it, you know. And was a minister with his name
for 5 years
emblazoned all over official documents as doctor, you know. So you think I'm going to trust these guys? We brought in a guy, we signed a contract with him as an approved CIP developer to build some housing for my brother who's sitting next to you.
Yes.
Remember that BMAX?
BMAX, yes.
The guy was arrested. The guy was on bail for €1 million, right? Yet our Minister of Investment came and didn't know anything about it.
And the Prime Minister said, don't forget that you have to put both parts, you know. The Prime Minister said, as long as the money clear the bank in that. Remember that?
Yes.
As long as the money. And today, he's coming back and saying, I don't know where the BMAX site is. I wish somebody would tell me. But you accept the money? It clear the bank?
What? You said you don't know where the BMAX site is?
Yes. Yes. He said he in fact, caller, he said, and I quote, I wish somebody would tell me where it is.
But I have up-to-date photos of the BMAX site. I've sent it to Philippe.
Have there been more boulders added or subtracted?
Just more crabs. More crabs under the boulders.
Well, you never told us who the houses were for. So it's for the crabs. That's too fun. Given all of that, guys, I'm not going to hog your show for that. Been on long enough. I appreciate that. Just want to make one more point. Our world around us is being reshaped. And that is my fear. That solutions seem not to observe that. Our life continues as usual. I mean, we've got a military armada in the Caribbean Sea, about 400 miles south of us.
Right.
We've got 15,000 American military people on the road in the Caribbean. Any day walking back. In the few hours that it took to snatch Nadu out of the military compound and land him in New York in a jail, the airspace of many of our countries were
shut down.
They were closed. We were shut down. We had to cancel so many flights that we depended on in the height of the tourism season. And the decisions that our leaders make have consequences, my people. You may not see it today, you may think I must leave up at the Supreme man answer, so I don't need to say anything. When governments align themselves with rogue governments, there is a time when other people come with a bigger stick.
Yes.
We don't have a stick. Not many first people could stick.
Well, I beg to differ. The Prime Minister say when it comes to tax collecting, he is going to use the big stick. So I don't know why you think we don't have a stick. I don't know.
You better beat it.
Why do you use the big stick on Trump?
Because
Someone don't use the big stick on Trump.
I'm gonna have to send you that clip, for you to understand why he cannot use the big stick or the big stick on Trump. To hear the Prime Minister cry about how he cannot choose his own friends, I need you to hear that. I need you to listen to that clip.
I will. If you can, say it to me, please. I'm not celebrating over that. I'm not, because it affects everybody. And my point is, I understand the position of small, vulnerable states like us. We may have legal independence, but we don't have what they call, we have managed sovereignty. And it's like, we don't have full control of our sovereignty. Many things, diplomacy, world economics, geopolitics, all of these things control our sovereignty. The thing is, when we have ministers and governments with departments called foreign affairs, they need to make prudent decisions. They need to see ahead. They need to be vision to say, Governor, I can't go and call the Canadians in America, call the North Americans that they're mongoose gangs.
Right.
These guys, don't forget, America has long memories. They're not like us in St. Lucia, you spend 2 months out of the And so the decisions that they have made, they have put us in a bad situation. The decisions with the CIP, it has forced America now to put us on a list of 75 countries who cannot apply for a green card in America anymore. And we're on the brink of being on a list where you have to pay up to 15,000 US to get a bond if you want to go to America. Our people have been refused visas in Barbados. Visas have been cancelled, white people in America. And that affects many of us. And this isn't a joke. And this isn't distant from us. It's right on our doorstep. And I'm happy that at least there's some voices now. It's the same old voices, unfortunately. But I am praying that more voices join it and we don't make it partisan.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that people tend to refrain from joining these voices is because maybe they see color in the voice. Now, when people look at me, they see a man. When they look at you, they see a woman, Angie, they see a man in the sector.
Yeah.
So they know what we are.
Yeah.
But we need to make sure that our tone is one that is national and not partisan.
Yeah.
Our politics is our politics, but when we bring up these issues affect across the board, red and yellow, and blue and green.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Red, yellow, blue, green, even orange. There's orange now.
Okay. But anyway, guys, nice show. Thank you very much for, allowing me to indulge in time.
And please go to the Office of the Prime Minister YouTube page and check out the Second World Congress on Racial and Ethnic Health Disparities for you to get all of your questions answered.
I will check it out. My last question, a personal question before I go, but it was a personal public question. Where can you
Caller, check me again next month on the 5th.
Okay, all right. Well, what is still in line?
It's still in the pipeline.
It's in the pipeline. Okay. Well, good night, guys. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Angie, I want to ask a question there. Now, I'm not bashing. I don't want to bash the taxi drivers. But for what we've been doing for so long, I don't understand. So I want to find out. You were talking about your fares.
Hold
and
on.
so on.
Before we say that, we still have some messages here
yeah.
to go
Well,
through.
let's read them because
So let me
some
read
people
them.
learn to
Yeah. So it's saying
messages.
here, once you have owners and drivers, this will never work. One man has a number of buses with all kinds of mad drivers, poor customer service. This bus sector only needs owners to drive their buses, raising bus route ban to get serious people to get in. After 6 p.m., all bus stands should be open so anyone can transport people. Only if there are no buses on the bus stop. So if you want to control a route, put buses on the route. Bus sector is a large subject. You need men of progress to set it up, not people who love money. Let me tell you. Somebody else is saying, you are so right, caller. Another person is saying, I won't say if Uber is right or wrong for the country, but I have no problems to get a taxi when I am in St. Lucia. I will leave that for the people who have problems getting a taxi to go home. What I don't like is that Hiller should inform the taxi drivers, have meetings with them before he signed in with Uber. Oh, I think she's saying Hiller should have done that. It's not that, yeah, she didn't like that he didn't do it. Just a little respect for the taxi drivers, that's all. Somebody's saying, hi, Angie and Mr. Foster, good evening to both of y'all. Somebody says, tell them, caller, tell them, hope that they are listening. When you're riding high, never you say bye. Another one said, best them verbally with the fire stick. Somebody saying, well said, Jimmy. Another person saying, Inspector Chico, who is the opposition in St. Lucia? We the people.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying, SLP people seem to eat from loyalty to party. Another is saying, the same opposite, responding the same opposition. Okay, so somebody asked me earlier to play the clip where Hile said not to sign up. This is the clip. He said it at the January 19th pre-cabinet press briefing. He was being asked a question by Chico's favorite reporter slash camera person slash reporter or question asker. Let me play that clip right now.
Well, I don't know if you want me to speak generally about Uber. I did receive a letter from Uber indicating that they had an interest in operating in St. Lucia and that they had invited interested taxi drivers to sign up with them, and they wanted to have a meeting to discuss it, and I agreed that we shall have a meeting in the new year to discuss it. And no meeting has been held, and at the appropriate time I will hear from them exactly what it is they want to say to me. I have also received a letter from the National Taxi Union, a very interesting letter about it. And the thing about it is that everybody let's just take it easy and let us talk, let's find out exactly what this is about, and that at the appropriate time we will decide the way forward. Government has not considered it, it has not been placed on the agenda of government, and at the appropriate time we will discuss it. I'd love to hear first of all the National Taxi Union, what are the objections. They wrote a few to me in their letter, and I would also want to hear from Uber what they're saying. As far as I'm concerned, the laws of such is very clear. For you to be involved in transportation of that nature, you have to have a TX. So you have to have a TX, or else you're not authorized to transport people for hire. And that's very clear. If Uber is a technology platform, I don't know that the law prevents anybody from joining any service that can market and promote and facilitate this. I don't know. But I'd love to hear what you say, and then we'll take it from there.
Even while you were speaking of a potential possible meeting and correspondence coming with regards concerns, would it surprise you to know that there are oversights on vehicles being used right now?
In St. Lucia?
No, yes.
TX taxis?
No.
then that's illegal. Because the law is very clear for you to, that you must have a TX plate. We tell that to our solutions. You cannot operate if you don't have a TX. You cannot. So you cannot do it. That's just what it is. And if I have any evidence of that being done, we will act accordingly, and the police will have to act accordingly. But you have to have a TX. That's it. Plain and simple. If you have a TX and you want to write Uber, that's your business. But you have to have a TX. That's it. So the first thing the National Taxi Union and Taxi Association should do is to tell their members, don't sign up with Uber. That's the first step out to make sure it doesn't happen. But you must have a TX. And we are very clear what the law says and what our policy is.
I heard part of that clip.
You heard it for yourself?
And I heard it now, and it's even more worse.
Is that a word?
In Hila's case, that's the word, more worse.
Let me check my student's companion, because I don't think that...
You must get that in the student's companion.
More worse?
Can you believe, Angie, that's why I ask you, that Uber vehicle you saw.
Mm-hmm. It was a private vehicle.
And you heard what the minister said, that's illegal, that cannot happen. And he will have to arrest the person. He's a bit of arresting people. I thought he's only around Labrador Street doing that. But it
Wait,
like
he arrested someone? Are you serious? don't tell tales.
Well,
here.
let me tell you something.
Are you saying former Inspector Chiquot, that the tourism minister arrested someone?
Apprehending people when they find themselves in the wrong place.
He apprehended someone. I hope you're not referring. I hope you are not referring to me, because
no,
listen,
not you.
Oh, okay.
Not you.
Okay, guys.
Mr. Hill started off saying
guys,
he received a letter.
Hold on, guys. One Foster Chiquot with me, because I will effect a citizen's arrest here in the studio. Because you hear he say, okay, let him continue. It's his show after all.
The man said he received a letter from Uber expressing some, willingness to
yes, to operate in St. Lucia.
Then he received a letter from the National Taxi Union.
That was very interesting.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And he made some later down in the statement he said they had some troubling, there is some vexing issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In that statement,
and then he said he would love to hear from them on what their objections are. But that statement he made was after the guys will launch, on the 27th of January. No. This is the 19th. He made this.
You made that statement on the 19th.
On the 19th.
This one we just listened
yes,
to?
Yes.
Okay.
On the 19th.
Well, Uber launched on the 27th.
Yes, they did.
And you were saying that there are vehicles, because the person asked him that there are vehicles marked Uber operating as Uber.
But I told you I saw a vehicle with Uber on it last week. I told you that.
Now, Angie, that's why I started speaking about, and the first caller, I know he started off wrong, but he had a point. That's why I started off with the background that I gave about taxis. Mm-hmm. Now, I spoke to a couple of taxi drivers today, and they're waiting patiently for that meeting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Because I suspect that meeting will have a lot of sparks.
Flint will be knocking together.
A shrapnel and all kind of things will be flying. This is, listening to the minister, I didn't hear all that in that entire interview. Mm-hmm. But he mentioned two things that I will just repeat. If there are any Ubers operating that are not TXs, that's illegal, and the government will do something about it.
And the police will be involved.
Now, and then later down in the program, he said, in his conversation there, he said that it's an online platform business, so anybody can operate. That's why I tell you, Angie, if I get a call that Angie I sign up for Uber and Angie wants an Uber from Millet. 2 o'clock in the morning, I charge in my overtime, after hours price and so on. And I'm going to do it.
Why are you leaving me late at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I don't,
Where I going?
I don't know.
It better be okay, you. Where? That's a lot of questions you're sending me to answer there, you know.
So, Angie, now, the question I wanted to ask you, well, before you, did we read all the...
No.
Okay.
So somebody says, we are the opposition, we the people, UWP, please hold your peace, keep silent. Another person says, is agreeing with this one. He's saying the opposition needs to keep quiet for about 2 years. Maybe that's it.
Yes.
And somebody else is saying NS. That is the, before you say I mispronounce the word.
That's
AIRNESS. I know I can spell. NS makes it sound like the government didn't know about this before the elections. Tricks. Another person is seconding the motion that we are the opposition. Somebody says, so here it is, as usual, ours truly, Ernest, he lie. Oh, gee. NS, you lie. That was one of the big secrets cooking up before elections. SLP is a party of lies and tricks and lies. Somebody else is saying, if Alan Shastney had done something like that with Uber, then hell would have broken down. Mama.
Oh, yeah.
Even breakdown too. Somebody
People
saying, well
said.
Jesus. Somebody says they think they fooling we. Okay, that's it. Let me see if we have anything on the WhatsApp platform. Nope.
Angie, when you call when you go to the taxi stand, and that's an issue I just want a taxi driver to call and answer. How do they fix the fares? If you live in Upper Hill, they have a different fare. If you live in Marcia, you pay an extra because fellas they want to come there. If you live in Mondido, taxi drivers don't go Mondido during the night. If you, and those are things that I know, that's a real. I want a taxi driver to tell me what's the fare from the market to Mondido, top of Mondido, after midnight. And is it the same? Well, after midnight, I expect they would have after hour fares, whatever. But the Uber drivers now, Angie, since the drivers, the taxis don't want to go through certain routes, Rockall, Mondido, Marcia, Conway, well, Cicero, the Gulf, fellas ain't go in the night time for taxi for you. Will the Uber drivers go?
Well, according to the old people, say a shy chest your grandmother come right now. I just know the Uber drivers will take me home. That's all I know. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know where they're going. I just know I will get home and I will get home safe. That's all. If I don't have money, I will call my big brother and have him pay Uber to send me home. Okay? Because he's not in St. Lucia. He can't come pick me up himself. But I still have, if I can't find, that is if I don't get the free other ones, because I have free others there on standby. Yes.
Now, Ian mentioned something, and for some time, we've been having that, and it has not materialized or bear fruit. And some consultation on the transport sector, whether it be minibus, whether it be taxi. I think the taxi drivers have been calling for an increase in their rates for a long time and for proper regulation.
Listen, I had to go to Windjammer Landings some time ago, right? And I was by the waterfront, that supermarket there at the waterfront.
Yeah.
And I asked the taxi drivers, how much is it from there to Windjammer? Guess how much they charge me? Just guess.
120.
Okay, they didn't go that far. They realized I was local. They tell me $80. I say, I say I didn't vote for the government that put the gas high.
What time are you talking about, Angie?
10 o'clock in the morning.
On a weekday,
on a weekday.
I wouldn't go there for so little money. Huh? In that traffic, you're lucky they charge you $80.
I didn't pay the $80 either. I tell them, listen,
I ain't going to grocery for
I
under
tell them,
$150.
I told the drivers, listen here, I didn't vote for the government that raised gas. I paid $60. Now, when I was leaving, I took my indiscreetness and asked how much is a taxi from there to town. They tell me 40 US. I start walking. I needed the exercise anyway. I mean, it is very expensive to get to and from certain places in St. Lucia. It's extremely expensive. But you see, when it comes to getting home at night, guys,
no, when you have no choice,
when you have no choice, you will, because you want to get home.
Somebody told me this afternoon before I came here that they paid 200 US from Yonora Airport to Castries.
Okay. 200 US on a TX.
That's more than $500, you know.
From there to there.
Yeah.
So they just multiply the bus fare. Listen, let me tell you something. I have had my share of issues. The first caller asked me if I had issues with bus drivers. I've had my share of issues with bus drivers. I remember a while back, bus fare to Viewfort was still $7. That was a while back. $6 or $7. And I was heading down to Viewfort with my daughter. She was little at the time. And I bought the bus. I paid the driver with $100. And I said to him, I'm going to Viewfort. I'm paying for myself and my child. I always pay for my child. This man gave me $80 change. I checked the money. I said, driver, how much is the bus fare?
Charge you the same price. 10.
And the bus fare wasn't $10 yet, eh? It was about $8, either $7 or $8. I said, driver, how much is the bus fare? He said, not Viewfort you going to? I say, yes. Well, I say, yes, but you give me $80, so how much is the bus fare? The driver take the money in my hand. He say, I from Viewfort and I taking him for Papi show. He take the money in my hand. He give my $100, let me get off the bus. Yeah. I sat there. And he insisted, get off the bus. I tell him, what is the bus fare? I need to know the bus fare because I paid you. I'm not getting off. He took the bus, drove to the police station where the parking lot is now, and went and got a police officer and said to the police officer that I am refusing to pay him and he wants me off the bus. So when the police officer came outside, now that whole time I was very nice, I was very calm, I didn't say anything. When the police officer came outside and said, who's the person you have the problem with? I put up my hand, I say, me, present. And then when the police officer asked me what happened, I gave the police officer my side of things. And then when he started talking, then I put all my bad manners that I was holding in stock outside. And then the police officer said to me, ma'am, I am already dealing with the situation. Please allow me to do so or I will have to arrest you. But I was really mad. I was really, really mad. And all of what he accused me of, I gave him reason to accuse me because he said to the bus driver, to the police officer, that he didn't feel comfortable driving down the road with me on the bus. He felt threatened. So I threatened him. Because you cannot... I ask you how much is the bus fare and you feel threatened? And the good thing about it is the other people that were on the bus, they stood in solidarity with me and they told the police officer what happened. And they said to the police officer, listen, if she has to get off the bus, we're all getting off the bus. Because that's nonsense. All the lady asked was, how much is the bus fare? That same week, that was on a Viewfort bus, the same week on my bus stop, a bus driver made a comment to me. So I made a comment back to him. I had already come in. I sat on the bus. I paid. This man took my money and sent it on me and tell me, get off his bus. And the only reason why I got off the bus is because my daughter started crying. And she told me she didn't want to get on the bus again. She didn't want to stay on the bus. But, I mean, I've had my issues with bus drivers.
I'm interested in knowing, what did the policeman say to you when
No, but
asked you-
he just asked me to stop behaving badly.
No, but what was his conclusion
But
in the
then the
matter?
police officer said to the man, "Come on, the lady's asking you how much is the bus fare. You have a right to tell her how much is the bus fare. How much is the bus?" The police officer insisted that he tell us how much is the bus fare, and then the police officer said to him, "But if you cannot count, then ask somebody to help you. But you cannot tell me to put the lady down on the bus. I'm not going to do that. Here's your money. She's not refusing to pay you." So the police officer told him how much change to give, and then gave me my change and sent him on his way. But
But Angie, I mean the bus driver, unless you behave in
I didn't
a
behave
bad
bad.
way,
I didn't behave bad
the bus
until
driver cannot put you off his bus.
I didn't behave bad until I got to the police station.
Yes.
Because that's why I decided I was staying that day.
I just wanted to know what the police.
But the police
if
officer
the
was
police
very
knew-
accommodating.
If the police knew how to diffuse that situation.
Yeah, he just
Because some of the officers, if they don't understand, if they don't know, they're likely to tell you get off the bus because the man tell you he doesn't want you on
no,
his
he
bus.
didn't. He was.
But
I think the police
The-
officer was more annoyed by the man's behavior because he asked the man, because other people on the bus were chiming in and they were saying, "But officer, all she did was ask how much is the bus fare." So the police officer said to him, "But how much is the bus fare?" That's the lady. How much is the bus fare?
and the bus fares used to be posted in the
And
that's
that
a
was
requirement.
before. That was before that. At that time, they were not being posted yet inside the bus.
inside the bus.
Yeah. But afterwards, they started posting it, I guess, because they had too many issues, similar
Yeah,
issues.
People who yes.
Yeah, but I mean, some bus drivers, and I remember when I got to Vivo, this guy was saying, "Oh, Papi sure she taking me for officer because she from Vivot." I'm not from Vivot. I'm from Cicero. I don't know any. But I mean, but listen, the bus system in St. Lucia is horrible. Not everywhere. Okay? If you live in Bexar,
There
I'm
are
sorry.
good-
Listen,
there
if
are
you
good
live,
things about-
hold on. If you live in Bexar, you cannot wear nice clothes if you're going to take the bus. Because some of those buses, they on life support. You see those that going on the Mon? I think that bus stop is where buses go to die. That's the only bus stop in St. Lucia where you will still see a
But-
12-seater bus.
Angie, but there are persons, the dispatchers from the Ministry of Transport.
These people still around?
I suppose, yes. Although I see one of somebody in a regular on duty, she sells more than she talks to the bus drivers. Anyway, she sells her own goods.
I didn't know there was still dispatch. I thought that was disbanded. No, was the word the Prime Minister said?
No, there's no disbanding.
Oh,
We
yeah.
don't disband dogs.
Right.
There was never. But I believe they're still around. I believe the dispatchers are still around. But
They used to have these uniforms. I don't
Light
see these
blue and,
people. Yeah,
yes.
light blue, but I don't see them anymore.
there's one that I see regular.
Oh, we have a
I
caller
don't see
on the
all
line.
the others, but I see that one.
Hold
all
on.
the time.
Good evening, caller. You are on the air.
Good evening, Angie. How are you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. And Inspector Chico, how are you?
I'm good, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay. Inspector Chico, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you can remember that far back. You remember when Sir John brought cable TV to St. Lucia?
Yes, I remember when cable came, yes.
Okay. You remember the respond about cable TV? You remember how Labour Party people came unglued? They didn't want casino. They didn't want cable TV. You remember the drama where so many students came to St. Lucia from some Indian country and they were supposed to have a medical school and
I remember that.
for some reason that went up in smoke.
The grocery, the
Labour Party.
Lamberg
Yeah,
scandal.
Yes. the Minister for Education at that time, okay, he was on mute. Kenny Anthony was the Prime Minister. He was on mute. The people were on mute.
Education Minister was it
I think that
Robert
was
Lewis?
Robert Lewis.
Robert Lewis and Emery Police.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The ones stuck in the Lombok.
Yeah. Well, the Robert Lewis was quiet. He said not a word. The St. Lucian people, the Labour Party people said nothing. You remember when Sir John, back in the day, now that is kind of like the late 80s or the middle 80s, I don't remember exactly, when there was a contract to the Prime Minister at the time, which was Sir John, bid on a contract with C.O. William to make a piece of road somewhere in St. Lucia. I don't remember where. There were some Labour Party people, they came unglued about jobs were being taken from St. Lucians, and look at what Reno did. The St. Lucian, the Labour Party supporters, they are on mute. You remember when during COVID, Mr. Shasney put a quota of like 14 people on the bus. You remember how bus drivers came unglued, how they had their loan to pay.
Bus drivers yes.
Yeah, and today he led but Uber to St. Lucia. You see how he plays like he's so innocent. He is so innocent. I mean, not one driver, not a taxi driver, not a minibus driver, nobody is saying nothing. I want to know if this is hypocrisy, or if this is loyalty to party, or if the St. Lucia Labour Party went to the devil so they can do whatever they want and the electorate stay silent. I don't get this. You cannot tell me. Now, I don't have a problem with Uber, because if I want to go anywhere and I don't want to drive my car, I'll take an Uber, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with Uber. I believe things like, we need services like this in St. Lucia. So the people who refuse to change with time, okay, the wind of change has blown on our seashores for too long, while the government tends to keep people in a lockdown mode, where people refuse to go, organizations refuse to bring change, and people are still thinking like primitive man. I don't have a problem with Uber, because I believe it's a good thing. But the problem I have is when St. Lucians stay silent, and if it was UWP that was in power, if and only if that was Shasney, Labour Party would have burned down the Prime Minister's residence along with the House of Assembly. They would be on the streets campaigning, and night and day they would be there. But today they're silent. But you know, when you get to St. Lucia, if you want to go from point A to point B, you reach on the airport. These taxi drivers, some of them, they're ready to assassinate you, because they want you to. They're giving you one price. This one giving you one price. This one giving you one price. Today, they have competition, and the spirit of competition should never be destroyed. But in St. Lucia, it's a one-way street. Everything is either monopolized or loyalty to party. Mm-hmm. But you know what? How many years of independence we fix must celebrate? Mm-hmm. Because I kind of lost track right now.
I think 47.
Yeah, this is what?
I think it's 40, either 47 or 48.
It's our 47th,
yeah.
Now, if we are an independent nation for 47 years, and housing is so bad in St. Lucia, the Minister for Housing is jumping up and down, rejoicing about everything and giving people NAPWI and every other stuff. But when you have people living in such terrible condition, what did we get independent from? Was that independence? Okay? Or was that still shackles? Are we still in shackles? Playing loyalty to party? We are an independent nation, and our airport is still leaking? Really? Really, guys? We are an independent nation. We cannot get a cab from point A to point B. We are an independent nation. Downtown Castle is looking like downtown Beirut. Come on. If this is what?
Caller, can I? Caller, but I have a problem with you, caller, that statement you just made, because the Minister of Housing said to us that he's going to be installing some railings in downtown Castries that will make us believe, if we close our eyes and we're dropped at Lower Jeremy Street, when we open our eyes, we're going to think we're in Dubai. And you're saying downtown
Dubai.
That's camels. He didn't mention the camels, but he said Dubai. I don't know. Maybe
railings for what? When you have all the sidewalks shaking from under you when you're walking downtown. Where the railings coming from? I mean, what is fixing to do? Is this going to secure the sidewalks?
No, railings on the Jeremy Street Plaza.
There's a plaza in Jeremy Street?
Yes.
All those little plywood boxes, that's a plaza?
Well, no.
Yeah, and if we are an independent nation, why people still live in such poor condition over there in the CDC? We don't even have to go far. Unless if we go up Marshall. We are an independent nation, and people still have Bache up Marshall. That's what independence is all about. I mean, how do we liberate our minds when we have people like the Prime Minister, his constituency look like something that came from a war zone? Really, guys, really? That's what independence means to us? We don't really look at the silence and the loyalty and the hypocrisy. If this is what we choose to indulge in, if this is what we as a nation call development, while those thieves over there on where they have the Graham Louise building, the Graham Louise building looks like a building that is I'm trying to figure out the patois word. I forget what the patois word is.
Say it in English, caller. Say it in English. We'll help you with the patois. Say it in English.
I know the patois. I just kind of forget the word. Now, when I really look at the things that are going on in the country and people are on mute, I don't really think it's to the betterment of the people, though. Because when we have students that cannot get a visa, when the Prime Minister said that as long as he is in power, he and all his crooks, they got a visa. Yeah, I know you guys got a visa. But all of you all want to come to the same white man country that you all do not want the other people that voted for you an opportunity to get a visa, to come to the same country that you can boast. Now, if the people elected you to do their work, you can get a visa and they can't, you're not representing them, you're representing yourself. Okay? Yep. And another thing again, when Philip J. Pierre, Stevenson King, and the rest of the crooks sold or prostituted the 2 ports in St. Lucia, the St. Lucian people stayed on mute when millions of dollars went up in smoke for CIP. The St. Lucian people, some of them decided they don't even want to know about CIP. And what did they do? They re-elected those same thieves. Okay, to do what? To perpetuate their national heritage? Really? Anyway, Inspector Chiquot, I just wanted to know if you can remember the days when they wanted to assassinate Compton for bringing development. And you remember they did so much for casino. What Kenny Anthony did? He had Cherokee build a whole casino for him, all for St. Lucians. And today, nobody has said a word. I think the hypocrisy is deafening.
I agree with that very much, caller.
Caller, you can remember I started off talking about our history, and all of those things are there. The people know that. But St. Lucians voted, and they voted blindly. We get the government we deserve.
Yep.
But you know what? When people are paid to vote, they have just elected their oppressors. And you know what? The St. Lucia Labour Party has been a government of virtual oppressors. And it's just a matter of time But one thing for sure, you see, UWP is now silent, and that is killing them because they have nobody to give milk with to. They have nobody to fight with. And even Shelly Belly has a problem with UWP being quiet. Let my people stay quiet. Let them destroy the country. Let them continue what they are doing because it's just going to be a matter of time before they all inherit. Now, you guys continue the work you're doing. I couldn't do your work because you all have a lot more courage than me. I have no more remaining, but I still listen to you guys.
Thank you.
And Inspector Chiquot, you and Angie,
thank you.
Your services will be an invaluable service to St. Lucia. So thank you. Thank you. And you guys be careful.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome, caller. Man, let me tell you, the callers are on point. So we have an update on the Uber situation. And I always tell people this is one of my favorite. This is my go-to news people whenever I want to get something on a story. So this is an article posted on the St. Lucia Daily Post, and it says the government pushes back on Uber, says no approval given for operations in St. Lucia. And let me just read to you what this is saying. So it says the government of St. Lucia has moved to firmly dispel public speculation surrounding the operations of ride-hailing service Uber, making it clear that no approval, sanction, or encouragement has been granted for the company to operate in the country. Minister for Commerce and Investment, Honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire, addressed growing concerns on the matter, stating unequivocally that reports suggesting government approval are false. Contrary to what you've been hearing or reading from various sources, the government of St. Lucia has not in any way approved, sanctioned, or encouraged Uber to operate any service in St. Lucia, Minister Hilaire said. According to the minister, Uber first made formal contact with the government in December, expressing interest in establishing a service on the island. The company described itself as a technology platform offering transportation services to move passengers from one point to another. Government officials responded by advising Uber that its proposal would be reviewed and that discussions would be required before any decision could be taken. The minister explained that Uber later indicated it had received significant interest locally, particularly from taxi associations and individual drivers, and signaled its intention to move ahead. However, government authorities again cautioned the company that consultations with key stakeholders were necessary before any such move. Last weekend, we received a notice from Uber indicating that they were launching their service the following day, Hilaire revealed. We indicated to them clearly that we were planning to meet with them to discuss the matter in detail and that they should not proceed. Meetings have since been scheduled with Uber and with the National Taxi Union as the government seeks to fully examine the implications of any new transportation platform entering the local market. Dr. Hilaire said the government expects to provide a clearer update on its position following these discussions. He stressed that while St. Lucia continues to modernize and regulate its transportation sector, any changes must follow established national processes and involve full stakeholder engagement. If you say you want to come to a country to set up a business and we tell you that we need to consult stakeholders, review the matter and have discussions, that process must be respected, he said. From that perspective, Uber launched their service prematurely. Hilaire also pointed out that St. Lucia already has locally developed ride-hailing platforms in operation, noting that these stakeholders will also be consulted before any definitive position is adopted. We already have 2 taxi apps operating in St. Lucia. All of these stakeholders will have to be part of the discussion before the government adopts any position, he added. The minister reiterated that no final determination has been made regarding Uber's future operations on the island, and emphasized that any decision will be guided by regulations, fairness, and the protection of existing stakeholders. We are dealing with a new reality that we have to respond to, Hile said. Once deliberations are complete, the government will outline its position clearly, along with the technical and regulatory details associated with any such service. For now, the government maintains that Uber has not been granted permission to operate in St. Lucia and that consultations remain ongoing. So,
that was today's news.
Yes. And forgive me, but that sounds like a load of hogwash, if I've ever heard one.
You believe Uber will launch on the 27th of January, and that statement would be made today, Angie?
What I took note of is
the minister was told that Uber is already operating. The reporter told him there are vehicles marked, and he said you can mark whatever you want on your vehicle, but an Uber must be a TX.
And also what I find is complete hogwash. You notice he's not saying that Uber is operating illegally. What he said was they launched prematurely. You realize that's what he said.
That statement came out in view of the meeting tomorrow, because I tell you, the taxi drivers are going to blow smoke on that minister tomorrow.
Well, they can blow lava, but it's what's done is done. So we have some people here on the... Somebody's saying... Well, it's because the driver realized that he can't fool you. Whenever you ask questions, they brand you as a problem. Well, it's not just the drivers doing that. The Prime Minister is doing that too. Somebody says, please allow Mr. Chiquot to have the floor. He has a great deal of wisdom to share. But I think that person is responding to... That's a back response. Somebody saying it was Dr. Robert Lewis in response to the lady asking who the education minister was. Another person says during COVID, Prime Minister Shaste set up a reduced quota of 7 on the bus. All of that was a Prime Minister very astutely managing a pandemic. Right. Another says dropped off on Jeremy Street Plaza will look like drop off will look like drop by, not Dubai. When will we see that these guys are not for we? Somebody saying great contribution. Another says caller, some people in Marshall loves that low life. That's why they are continuing to vote for PJP. They have no pride nor future. Over to you, Mr. Chiquot.
So Angie, I was commenting on the contribution from Ian. We needed to have a consultation, proper consultation, on taxi rates, on Ubers and minibus drivers. And we remember I mentioned 800 new plates coming into the system. The taxi drivers complained at the time.
Hold on. We have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. You are on the air.
Bonsoir. Moi, je dis bonsoir pour mon cas de là. Moi, ça vita, maté, fait les débits beaucoup yémé. Là, moi, coûté, différents mon cas capable différents views. Exemple, à capable chaque science, différents bails. Il y a bail qui vient le dire. C'était même c'est comme ça qui était tout fait de majorité qui était tout power woman.
Oui, yo même.
Ou changer, yo tenu capté par là, yo a le CCJ, yo et qui sorti privé conseil. Yo pas même pour yo même c'est peuple pays a pas tenu rien pour te faire ça. Ça c'est pour ils ont pas même Yo pas mené référendum. J'ai changé ça comment?
Oui, yo te sa fait ça, yo vle, quoi yo te ka fait ça.
Bon, c'est ça. Bon. Yo te ni comment la même manière. Yo a GPH, yo pas dit personne rien, yo fait différents bail. Yo pas te même ni pièce discussion et puis personne. Je dis là, moi quand même des questions. Tout fait de majorité à baba ou quoi et puis yo te comme en Amérique.
Bel chess yo. Bel chess yo.
So, yo te ça pour le pays pour pas du pays qui ça qui nous. Pour te avoir 20 pays parce que bah là yo ka décision ka prendre. Puis si on y couvre, il tout fait de majorité au major. Je dis là tout fait de majorité à pas couvrir encore.
Prime Minister a give up. Prime Minister a give up. Nombre di ipan pièce choice. Trump a dit ça in pour dire.
Mais monsieur Chico, c'est pour maison, on a des questions.
Oui.
C'est ça qui se parle, on a parlé, qui fait qu'on a des questions après ça. Cette lycéen, la trop cette lycéen qui pas maturité assez pour faire décision qui bon dans le pays. Et maturité, on a parlé, si vous ne connaissez pas maturité, on a dit maturité, c'est maturity. Vous comprenez? Maturity, wisdom, understanding, knowledge. Nous besoin ça en tête pays pour ça faire décision qui bon. Spécialement les aller en pause là, aller choisir gouvernement et même non être femme pour gouverner le pays. Si vous parlez ces bagages ça là, on passe à faire décision qui bon. Tout le monde a accepté tout petit bagage qui pas faire pièce science avec pays qui a joué comme carré derrière tout. Chacun convient trop qu'il est pas dans le monde. Le pays a mis pour venir plus gratuité passer ça. Avec ces millions-là qui ont gouverné le pays, jour des jours, ils n'ont pas maturité aussi. Ils n'ont pas de wisdom, ils n'ont pas de knowledge, ils n'ont pas de understanding. C'est comme ça qu'on peut mettre. Donc, les gens comme ça, dès le moment où on coffre, qui me reste dès le moment où on coffre, ou pas ça de beaucoup de monde, être femme pour dire non. Ça est pays nous, puis ils ont dit observer nation. Les gens disent à la zone qui a passé bâton, ils ont dit qu'ils ont indépendant pour 47 années. Qui compte lui, nous pas encore indépendance là pour 47 années. Nous pas ça même plantant pied d'Achille pour manger, nous-mêmes manger.
Moi, quoi, bâton en plié indépendant pays pays.
Madou, oui. C'est plaisir, ça qui a coûté. Mettez ça en ordre et fait plus les décisions passer ça. Parce que le pays nous a coulé en bas d'eau. Merci. Je pas encore là. Et bien, passe en bonne soirée.
Ok, Colo, merci. Merci, Colo, merci.
Merci pour ça.
Bienvenue.
Okay.
You see, these people honestly believe that they are fooling somebody. You know, when these people speak, sometimes you have to ask yourself, who do they think is listening? Who are they addressing? Who are they speaking to? When you come and you see Uber has not been approved, sanctioned, or encouraged to operate any service in St. Lucia, but you're not saying that what they're doing is illegal and they are openly operating. Because if I am not sanctioned to be here, then I'm here illegally, n'est-ce pas?
No, I mean, they can be here, but if they're not given a license to operate, how are they making contact with the P drivers, the H drivers, the TX drivers to conduct business?
But
where's the
remember DSH was sanctioned to operate in St. Lucia, right? But their work permits were revoked. They still have to pay the rent, the lease on the land. Why aren't they operating? I make a point. If I'm
Why are they not operating?
Yes, why aren't they
Well,
operating?
they chose not to operate. To
You think
leave.
so? You think so? You think they chose to leave?
Well, we know that the government sat with DSH, and they never operated after that. And they started selling their stuff and they left.
So why is it that the government has not sat with Uber, but Uber is already operating?
But we know, Angie, Uber must have been in discussion with the government before election.
Now, we have...
And the 800 TX splits that were given 4 years ago, had to have been assigned. That move started from there. Because I know many bus drivers, operators, owners of buses who ply the route, and they also have a TX packed. So when they're not on the route, they have a TX operating.
In fact, I know a bus driver.
And those are new TX splits.
I know a bus driver that have 2 TX splits. And his route plan.
So,
and would operate both of them simultaneously.
Angie, but the man who has, let me tell you that the police, when they stop you, the police, if you drive in a TX, a vehicle that's registered as a TX split on it, the police can ask you to produce your driver's license. And if you never say you're not, because they're driving a TX vehicle, you must be a licensed tourism taxi license. It has an endorsement. You're not just driving, not because you can drive a car. You're having a TX vehicle, driving. So is that being checked? So you'll check it on an Uber? If you cannot, if you see a man driving and he's on an Uber trip with an H, with a P, what will you tell him? You'll arrest him?
I don't have the authority to do that. I'm not a police officer.
No, I mean the police. What would the police do? Those things must be regulated, because if the ministers say you cannot operate, Uber must be a TX, and you don't have an endorsement for TX, for taxi tourism, you cannot operate an Uber.
Okay, so what if, I'm just saying, what if you have your the endorsement on your license, but you just don't own? Because you remember you said people, a gentleman that had a TX plate and he didn't have a vehicle.
He didn't have a vehicle.
So I'm just thinking, what if I have a license for TX, but I don't have a vehicle, and I signed up for Uber and I got a trip, so I'm I borrow Foster vehicle.
Which is a TX?
No, which is a normal vehicle.
No.
And then they stop me and they ask me for my license and registration, and I show my license with my TX endorsement on it.
No.
I'm just, what happens then?
It can't work so.
No, but if that happens and I am endorsed to drive taxi, but I just don't have that vehicle, so I borrow your vehicle, or my vehicle in the garage, I borrow your vehicle to do the trip. Is the police going to arrest me?
If you drive in a TX and you have a taxi license, and you're driving your friend's TX, it's good,
No, I'm driving my friend's normal vehicle with a P plate.
No, you can't do taxi for P.
But I get the trip. I need money to pay my vehicle ticket at the garage.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Although there are provisions made for you to operate a taxi with an M plate. A taxi trip with an M plate.
But
there are special permits.
But he just said, and that's another thing that I wanted to challenge, but none of the reporters on that day picked it up.
The minister said something.
The minister said that for a vehicle to go to, for you to operate a vehicle for hire, you must have a TX plate.
No, he say for you to be operate as an Uber.
No.
Not
no,
hire. He
no,
didn't
no,
say
no,
hire.
no, no. Listen.
Did he say hire?
The minister said, I can play it back. The minister said, for you to operate a vehicle for hire, you must have a TX plate. He said that. That statement is incorrect.
That's incorrect.
Because all of the M plates,
were hired at the
are hired by the passengers.
Right.
So the minister, that is incorrect.
That's why he said Miss Ernest Hilaire should stick to what he knows. He's speaking about too many things that he does not know about. And he always getting himself. That's why I tell you, I buy in a special glasses to look at Ernest Hilaire, you know. Rick Wade suggested that we need special glasses to look at me.
And I noticed this year you put yours on.
I put in, that's why I'm wearing, because Hilaire is on the air, that's why I'm wearing that glasses. But that's why I started off, Angie, saying, letting the people, reminding the people that prior to M plates, all buses had H.
That was when, back in the 90s?
Yeah, before 1995, because buses came, M plates came around 95, 96, under UWP. That was when they were trying to regulate the minibus sector. TX plates came after the election under SLP, when they started doing their madness and giving their friends TX plates. Red plates.
I remember they were red.
And gradually they were red plates first. The first plates were red, and then they changed it to blue. Okay, so without regulation, you see, as that Uber mess started there already, tongue the road it going, all mass, because it already started bad. It started bad because you have a minister who does not know anything of what it is doing. It's just anything it touches turns out to
chaos.
Chaos.
We have some people here on the Facebook Live. So somebody says, lying thieves, how did they get to St. Lucia? Are they operating for free? Somebody else is saying here, Hile lie. Another person says the backlash is much more than they anticipated, so they are doing a fake meeting to pacify the public. Another says, you see Hile self. Another says, yes, it was on DBS News at 7 p.m. Minister Hile said that the government of St. Lucia has not given Uber permission to operate here. Somebody says, very good point, caller. Why don't all the PM of the Caribbean bring Trump to the CCG? Another says, I thought the minister said that he has not spoken to Uber. Now he speaks of communication through correspondence. Isn't correspondence considered talking? Well, not to the prime minister, not to the minister, of course. Somebody says, Philip J. Pierre is very, very fearful of Trump getting his Delta SEAL team to do a Maduro move on him. Pierre decided to kowtow to Trump instead of being kidnapped at 2 a.m. Now, listen, this person is making that point, and I have to laugh because I just played a clip on my show where Philip J. Pierre is saying that he wants to sleep in his bed so he can't choose his own friends. So, whoever made that statement.
An actual statement he made.
Yes.
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 He said they can't even decide which one.
I still have the clip open right here on the laptop. I can even play it because he said he can't choose his own friends. So because I want to sleep in my bed, I can't choose my own friends. He actually said that, his exact words. Somebody says the CCJ was created to attract only the opposition parties. I think, okay. Somebody's saying here, I don't think that the people are not mature enough to make voting decisions. I firmly believe they are. Hold on now. I don't think that the people are not mature enough to make voting decisions. I firmly believe they are motivated by hate more than they believe in economic development. And somebody's replying to that saying, isn't this the result of a lack of maturity? What do you think, Foster?
I believe the person who responded is correct. Our population, there is no thinking. There is not enough thinking. Our people are not very smart when it comes to politics.
I think so too.
Angie, I was out campaigning, and let me tell you, the majority of people don't know who's a minister, who's a candidate, who's a senator, who's a, and for good reasons sometimes, because some candidates have on the government side were building roads, giving thousands of dollars of vouchers. Somebody mentioned earlier that I heard on your show, $5,000 building material vouchers. If the people were being given that, a lot of people took it, Angie. Now, we were saying, take the money and vote them out. But when you touch certain currency, you can't put them out. Touching that money was the problem. You touch those guys' money, you have to vote for them.
Let me tell you.
Because the vouchers are still out there. The building materials are still out there. It will take, I believe it's March. I heard it March when all of those things are expiring. So all the vouchers, supermarket vouchers, are expiring in March. So there's quite a number of vouchers still out.
Well, so back to our topic at hand. And this whole Uber thing, as much as people might not like it, but I think the service is necessary. And I saw on Facebook somebody making a statement that this is simply another way to let money leak out of the country. But hey, money leaking out of the country anyway. The country is a sieve. GPH leaking money out of the country. The government giving all foreign... Look at all the major construction projects that we have going on in St. Lucia. Halls of Justice, NH, foreign company. The is that the East Coast or the West Coast? The one going down to Soufrière?
West Coast.
West Coast Road project, foreign company, Nomalco. Everything, even our biggest contracting company, and that is CIE, they are hiring, the majority of their hires are imported workers. That these are people who are going to come here, collect a salary, and send it home to their family. Money leaking out of the country, left, right, and center. It's like we pour our money, it's like pouring water into a bathtub that is leaking, and the more you pour into it, the level of the water just keeps going down. That is the economic situation that we are faced in St. Lucia. Everything, we have no money coming in and staying. Our biggest festivals, jazz, or the majority of the foreign artists, the majority of the performers, foreign artists, money leaking out of the country. Carnival, the costumes are imported. Foreign artists coming down, foreign influencers coming down, money leaking out of the country. You understand? Look, I read online that Tatiana Ali is here. Tatiana Ali, if you recall, she used to play Ashley on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show back in the 90s. She was the little one. Then she started singing. Then she acted for a little while and then she disappeared. She's here promoting some creative whatever. Money leaking out of the country.
You mean she's hired? She's a consultant or?
No. She's here. When these foreign celebrities come here to take part in whatever or to host something, they're coming here on our dime. They're not paying they're not paying their own airfare, their own accommodation, their own taxi service. They're not paying their own Uber. We're the ones footing the bill. You understand? So, come on, guys. Money is leaking out of St. Lucia anyway.
But we are not discussing those things.
I know we're not,
Angie.
But
every time those things come up, whether it's a minibus sector, whether it's taxi, we always have to go back and undo certain things to move one step forward. But somebody mentioned the safety of the Ubers. Let us say Uber gets the nod. How reliable, or not reliable, sorry, but how safe will you feel on you calling an Uber and getting picked up by anybody, Angie?
No, but it's the same thing with the taxis, the same thing with the bus.
No, but you know the taxi drivers.
No, but no, come on. I don't know any taxi drivers. Listen to me. You don't know any taxi. You might know the taxi drivers. I don't know the taxi drivers. Nobody knows the taxi drivers. You get a taxi when you need one. Okay, think of it this way. When I stand, sometimes in the morning when I have to get to work, okay, and I cannot get a bus from my home, I will take a ride from a neighbor or from one of my brothers, go down to the main road, Castries Viewfort Highway. Buses from different places stop for me. As long as the bus heading to Castries, I will board it. Dennery bus, Viewfort bus, Choiseul bus, Bexar bus, it doesn't matter.
But it's a regular bus. That bus is on a route. So
yes.
And you're not the only one on the bus.
I'm not the only one on the bus, right. But you're not the only one on the Uber either.
Yeah,
Uber is ride share. Uber is ride share. Listen, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know why I really want the Uber? Not because I want to pay exorbitant prices to get home. But I believe it will encourage the bus drivers to be on the bus stop.
No, but why don't we ask for more reliable? You know how many increases the bus drivers have gotten over the years. We've been told that the system will improve. Godfrey Ferdinand. After 6 p.m., most of the routes are not serviced properly.
Do you know that last year, after jazz, I couldn't get a bus to go home?
You're talking about jazz. Anytime there is cricket at Beausejour and you have a shuttle system, whenever no drivers come back to bring people back, people have to walk from, and that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People have to walk from Beausejour Stadium to wherever park and ride they have. That happens all the time. The bus service is unreliable, especially at nights.
So, let the Uber come. Because without competition, the bus driver pie won't call you. Listen, from the time they started talking about this Uber, do you know that the bus drivers on my bus stop, with the exception of, I think it was, of one day last week, I can't remember what day it was, one day last week, they're on the bus stop.
Up to what time? 10 p.m.?
Not 10 p.m. I wouldn't go that far. But they there until 9 o'clock. Friday, was it Friday? I came from work. I got on the bus stop, and there were more than one bus. I could have choose bus if I wanted to, because Uber come in.
But that's
and they know that their livelihood
a condition
is under
that they
threat.
said. I recall Mr. Ferdinand said many years ago that, I mean, that was a condition that they said they could meet, that the route would be serviced. And that I know my route up to 9 o'clock, 9:30, you can find a bus. Sometimes 10 o'clock in the night. Special occasions when there is Asu Square, the buses go on and so on. But, or they are assigned buses to work particular activities. But generally, the bus service is shut down by 6 p.m. Generally.
I that one day last week that I was telling you about, I called 7 bus drivers in total. One said to me that his vehicle was in garage for the whole week. He had an accident with a
cow, a black
no,
cow.
No, not a cow. They might as well be cows, the nonsense they're doing on the road. The why can't I remember this? Bikes, a motorbike. Another said to me, I'm just passing your home, heading up to drop people, so I'm not coming back anytime soon. But every other bus that I called
was unavailable.
Some didn't pick up. So when I said, hey, you still on, there was one where I said, hey, you still on, you mad? I knock off already. I'm at home already.
Do some Uber service.
Let me tell you, we need it.
Well, you have my number.
Yes. So
what price you willing to pay? $80?
No, I ain't paying you no $80, Foster. I ain't paying you no $80. I give you $20 gas drive me home. No, but honestly, so with the exception of one who was off the road, another one who had just left Castries and could not come back at that time. It's not that he wasn't coming back, it's just that this is where I am, so I'm not going to be able to come back. 5 bus drivers. Some of them didn't answer, some said, I'm already home. And that was after 6. After 6, after 7. So bring on the Uber. Bring it. I will buy pepper spray. I know it's illegal, but I will make homemade pepper spray if I have to. But I will get home.
Now
bring on the Uber.
Now the minibus operators, we know you all have had challenges. You all have been robbed. You all have been shot. You all have been killed by the very commuters that want the Ubers.
Hold on, Foster. Foster.
Not Angie. But they've been robbed by passengers.
Guys warn Foster inside of here. Foster always trying to get me in trouble. Warn Foster. Look, now he accusing me of wanting Uber but attacking bus drivers.
No, but it's a reality. The minibus operators have come under serious.
It is true.
Threat. Harm. Some have lost their lives. You know how many minibus drivers have been killed over the years?
Somebody's asking you to speak about the vehicle insurance with regards to using a private vehicle for Uber service.
Well, you know, if you have the situation with hire, like carrying people for hire, as opposed to a private insurance where you have yourself, your family, it's for private use, it can have a serious impact on the whatever claims that's made in case of an injury or collision or so on. So you cannot take a private vehicle and go and get engaged in hire. You know, the two insurances are different. So all of that, and those are things that we have discussed before. The guys, there is a system where the guys do transfers. So Angie drops 2 guests from the airport, Yonora Airport, to Sandy Beach, wherever hotel. Makes contact with the people. The next time the people want to do, they are here for a few days, a few weeks, 2 weeks. They have Angie's card. They call Angie and tell him, tomorrow morning we need to go do some shopping up in Castries. Angie's vehicle hit a car the night. Angie calls Foster, my P. I go at Sandy Beach and I pick up the people. You know how much trouble that I've brought Angie? People, I don't know if that's the term they call it. People do, there's a name for it, you know. Transfers from different hotels. But they do come to the private vehicles, come to the hotel, picks up guests, go out for the day, come drop them back, come back. Now, you, the minibus, the taxi driver operating at that hotel, you'd realize that that vehicle has business in there. But you have a P-plate, you're operating a taxi. Does your insurance cover the guests who are coming here for 1 week? In case something happens, Angie, how can you claim? You can't claim. You're just giving the people a ride. You don't know the people.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know if I know the people. I met them the other day at the airport, remember?
Are you picking them up every day?
Yes, but they're my friends. My co-workers, we doing... listen, the reason why I asked that question, remember I told you I know of a bus driver who has 2 taxi plates.
2 taxi plates.
That individual also has...
On 2 vehicles? Yes, 2 vehicles?
Yeah,
2 TX vehicles?
A lot of vehicles. That individual also has a private vehicle, you know, that they use. And I'm thinking, okay, if today there's an issue and this person has to use their private vehicle, they have the endorsement.